The 32nd session of the Senate in the third regular session of the 19th Congress is hereby called to order. May I call on Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri to lead the chamber in prayer. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you very much, Senate President. Let's put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Lord, as we approach the Yuletide season, we pray that you give us the instruments we need as public servants in order for us to give everyone a season of peace, joy, and comfort. We pray that you help us rebuild the lives among us who are still reeling from the recent calamities, those who are ill and unable to afford proper treatment, those who are forced to take refuge out on our streets with no shelter and security, and those who till our lands and harvest our seas but still struggle to feed their own families. We pray that you work through us. Make us your hands to be able to help others. Make us your eyes to see the good in the world, and make us your ears to hear the call of our people. Make us your lips to be the voice of those who struggle to be heard. All this we ask in the name of our dear Lord. Amen.
Amen. Majority Floor Leader.
Roll call.
Secretary is directed to call the roll of members.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Antiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, Senator Zubiri, the Senate President.
With 21 senators present, Chair hereby declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the Journal of the 30th Session, Monday, November 25, 2024, and consider the same as approved.
Any objection? Hearing none, reading of the journal is dispensed with, and the same is hereby considered as having been approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, before we proceed with the order of business for today, there are some guests that we have to acknowledge, guests of this representation, as well as Senator Legarda, the Vice Governor of Siquijor, Vice Governor May Ling Quezon Brown, students coming from the Far Eastern University, Cavite, BA Political Science students headed by Generoso Cordero III and Karen Toledo Liveta. Guests of the Senate, the Republic San Beda University, Manila. We acknowledge their presence.
To the aforementioned guests, welcome to your Senate. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 2871 under Committee Report number 344. This is the bill on the Chemical Weapons Prohibition Act. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Hearing none, resumption of consideration of Senate Bill number 2871 under Committee Report number 344 is now in order. Majority Leader.
President, the parliamentary status is that having sponsored the measure, I move to open the period of interpellation and recognize the sponsor, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, and to interpellate our Honorable Minority Leader, Senator Coco Pimentel.
The sponsor, Senator Jinggoy Estrada, our Senate President Pro Tem, as well as the distinguished Minority Floor Leader, the Honorable Coco Pimentel, is recognized for the latter's interjections. The gentlemen have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we are joined by the representatives from the Anti-Terrorism Council and the technical consultant of the Anti-Terrorism Council for CBRN, that stands for Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Threats, and WMPD, Weapons of Mass Destruction, from the UP College of Medicine. Director Jose Embang, Dr. Irma Macalinaw, and Ms. Gail Gloria. We are ready to entertain questions from our dear colleagues, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the permission of our sponsor. Actually, Mr. President, I kind of have an affinity to this law, Mr. President, because it reminds me of the treaty which I defended here on the prohibition on the transshipment, transportation, and storage of nuclear weapons here in the Philippine territory. So, tama po ba ako yung pakiramdam ko na magkamukha po itong dalawang treaty na ito, except that sa subject matter lang nagkaiba?
Mr. President, this bill is primarily concentrated on the chemical weapons, Mr.
Correct.
President.
Kaya nga, gusto ko kung yung treaty po na napasa natin dito ay concerning nuclear weapons, ito naman po ay ang pagsasabatas sa Pilipinas ng isang tratado na pinasok na natin noong 1990s na ang subject matter naman, chemical weapons. Ganun po yon?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay, sige po. So most likely, parang binibigyan din tayo ng preview na baka sa future, kailangan din natin ng batas tungkol naman doon sa isang treaty on the nuclear weapons. Ganun po ba yun?
Most probably, Mr.
Yes,
President.
opo. At ito po yung magiging kamuka po dito. So ano po yung, paano po natin in-approach ito? Did we also approach this like yung dangerous drugs law natin na yung batas natin on the dangerous drugs, nag-refer tayo sa treaties, tapos ginawa nating annex to the law yung mga listed na prohibited or regulated dangerous drugs doon sa treaty? Yun po ba ang ating approach sa batas natin ngayon?
Mr. President, yes, we referred to the chemical weapons convention, Mr. President.
So we just referred to the convention, unlike in the dangerous drugs law where we annexed the listing of the drugs mentioned in the treaty. This time, quiet tayo. We're not annexing anything to the law.
Well, we will amend. We can amend the proposed bill, Mr. President.
Precisely, Mr. President, yan yung question ko. What is now the better approach? Okay, so ang nakikita ko, meron tayong tatlong approaches. Number one, we can just refer to the treaties. Number two, we can attach as annex to the law the listed prohibited items in the treaty we are referring to. Or number three, we can enumerate them in the law itself, Mr. President. So what would be the best approach in the opinion of our chairman, Mr. President?
Mr. President, we just want to place on record that the annex on chemicals as attached to the Chemical Weapons Convention can be amended through the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, Conference of States Parties. This is comparable to the UN General Assembly, where certain chemicals may be included or added to the list or deleted therefrom following developments in chemistry and emerging threats. So we are amenable to the idea, Mr. President, of attaching the annex of chemicals, Mr. President.
But then what is our attitude once the treaty is amended by that association, we will deem our law to also be automatically amended?
Well, under our committee report, Mr. President, we recognize this, and so under the definition of terms in Section 3, Item G, on the scheduled chemicals, referred to chemicals listed in Schedules 1, 2, and 3 of the Annex on Chemicals to the Convention and any subsequent additions thereto we shall at the proper time introduce amendments to replace additions with amendments there too,
Yes,
Mr. President.
so pwedeng removal, no?
Yes, Mr.
Apo,
President.
apo. Thank you for that, Mr. President. So, I believe that we will stick to our approach just by citing the schedules 1, 2, and 3 of the annex on the chemicals, annex on chemicals to the convention, but we will not annex we will not annex the lists themselves to our law. Unlike the dangerous drugs, ganun ang ginawa, ganun ang approach natin eh. So I'm just asking what is the intention of our sponsor? What would be our approach?
We can do that, Mr. President. We can annex it. But I just would like to remind my colleague that I was not a senator yet when the Dangerous Drugs Board was passed.
Yes, correct. Pero yung matter of approach na, what's the opinion
Yes.
of the
We can
chairman
annex,
and the
Mr.
committee?
President. We
Yes.
can annex it, Mr. President.
Sige pa. So what are we providing for in this measure, Mr. President? Hindi ba self-executory yung convention na the convention is the Chemical Weapons Convention?
Well, Mr. President, the convention provides that each state party shall, in accordance with its constitutional processes, adopt the necessary measures to implement its obligations under the convention. In particular, Mr. President, it shall, 1, prohibit natural and legal persons anywhere in its territory or in any other place under its jurisdiction as recognized by international law from undertaking any activity prohibited to a state party under this convention, including enacting penal legislation with respect to such activity, Mr. President.
And we have penal provisions here, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President. Huh? Yes, we have, Mr. President.
So, Mr. President, which is the main implementing agency for this particular bill, Mr. President?
Mr. President, it is the ATC, or the Anti-Terrorism Council, Mr. President.
And what led us to choose the ATC as the national authority? Ang national authority po ay mentioned sa convention siguro?
Well, the ATC, Mr. President, or the Anti-Terrorism Council, is designated as the Philippine National Authority on the Chemical Weapons Convention. The ATC has been performing this function since 2011 by virtue of an executive order when President Noynoy Aquino designated the Anti-Terrorism Council as the Philippine National Authority on the Convention, Chemical Weapon Convention and other disarmament issues, Mr. President. It has been performing since 2011 by virtue of an executive order by President Aquino.
Hindi po ba kailangan din may law enforcement dito na may tao din dapat sa ground dito? Kasi di ba,
Sino?
ang scenario rito, for example, may warehouse, mayroong nakastore na prohibited chemicals, o meron tayong vessel na crossing Philippine seas and territory na may karga silang prohibited chemical weapons or chemical precursors which can be used to be for weapons. So yun, meron bang sufficient na capability si ATC to have all of these personnel to enforce the law?
Yes, I think ATC has the capability, considering that it is already an interagency, considering that it is an interagency body, Mr. President. If I may, Mr. President, if I may add lang.
Yes, please.
The composition of the ATC under Republic Act 11479, first is the Executive Secretary, who acts as the chairperson. the National Security Advisor, who acts as the Vice Chairperson, and the members are Secretaries of the DFA, DND, DILG, DOF, DOJ, and DICT, Executive Director of the Anti-Money Laundering Council Secretariat, and the NICA, National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, shall be the Secretariat of the Anti-Terrorism Council.
So, kailangan siyang gumamit ng personnel ng ibang agencies, ganun po ba yun?
Definitely, Mr. President.
How will the ATC do this, Mr. President? Para ba siyang police na before siya maka-enforce ng traffic laws, i-deputize siya ng LTO? Ganun po ba yun? Meron pa bang formal deputization na kailangan gawin si ATC sa mga law enforcement personnel under our bill?
Well, according to the staff resource persons beside me, meron na pong existing national CBRN team,
Ano ulit?
chemical, biological, radiological,
CBR.
and nuclear team.
CBRN.
Yeah, CBRN team, Mr. President.
Sige, can we get
That was formed under? That was formed under ATC Resolution number 40, Mr. President.
number 40?
Series of 2019, Mr. President.
Okay, so we are being informed that the Anti-Terrorism Council, by virtue of Resolution number 40, series of 2019, created the so-called CBRN team. May we get more information? What is the function of that CBRN team? And is it already functioning? Kasi 2019 pa siya eh.
I will just get a copy. Get a copy of the resolution, Mr. President.
And since kung functioning na siya, can we get an example of its greatest achievement?
Sir, the National Action Plan.
Where's the national law?
National Action
Can you write it down?
Action Plan 2018.
Type nyo na kasi.
Section 13. Ano yung confidential information? Bakit yan?
Sige na. Type mo. Well, the main achievement, Mr. President, I think there is already a national CBRN plan of 2022. Mr.
Plan.
President.
We have a
Yes.
plan. Okay.
Yes.
But do we have already parang ano ba tawag dito?
Concrete?
Arrests or
Meron na.
or cases filed against violators?
Unfortunately, there are no arrests made as of this moment, Mr. President.
But are there any discoveries of the presence of CBRN in prohibited CBRN in Philippine territory?
Meron?
Or do we even suspect that there
None that we know of, Mr. President.
None. Okay. Okay, so
According to the...
yes. So it's either
It is not
it's either
the
it's good-
information did
it's
not come
either
from
it's
myself,
good-
Mr.
It's
President.
either it's good news
Or bad
that
news.
Philippine territory is that
Yeah.
being used for the transshipment, storage, manufacture of CBRN prohibited items,
Yes.
or
Action Plan, sir, is also
or bad news that we do not know what is happening within Philippine territory. So, so
Well,
what?
the CBRN plan, or the action plan, no, also prevents the proliferation of these chemical weapons, Mr. President. The action plan is about risk mitigation and the prevention, Mr. President.
Yes, kasi action plan, ano po parang tabletop lang po yan eh. Kayang isulat sa isang meeting, ganun. But ang tanong ko po is, meron silang law enforcement function eh. So, meron na ba na-encounter sila na CBRN incident within Philippine territory? Pwede namang wala eh. Pwede namang wala ang sagot eh. Tinatanong ko, wala.
Wala pa.
Okay,
Well, that's good news,
that's
Mr.
good news. I
President.
think that's good news na at least per official data, the Philippine territory is not being used for CBRN prohibited items and prohibited activities involving CBRN. So, sana po magpatuloy po yung ganyang sitwasyon. Opo. Pero sa drugs, alam ko maraming mga raid, maraming mga insidente, pero prohibited drugs yon, iba po yun. Opo. Bakit kaya? Bakit
Mr.
kaya?
President,
Bakit kaya,
may-
Mr. President?
maybe in the plan,
Go ahead, go ahead.
The National CBRN Plan of 2022, maybe the preventive measures under this plan serves as a deterrent, no? To prevent yung CBRN entering our country. Mr. President.
Sige, ano po ang pinakamagandang feature ng CBRN plan na yun? That you are able to prevent the introduction into Philippine territory of the prohibited CBRN, pero hindi natin magawa sa drugs.
Well,
Yan ang tanong ko. Ano ang insight na alam ng council at ano ang mekanismo na nagawa ng council sa illegal drugs, hindi natin magawa.
Sir, meron tayong tight monitoring din kasi of chemicals that
well, we have tight monitoring of chemicals that are entering our territory, Mr. President.
May we know who is helping the council in the tight monitoring. Yun lang naman yung concern ko rin eh. Kasi maybe we can tap that same agency for the tight monitoring of everything, Mr. President.
Several agencies like what's it?
Strategic Trade Management Office.
Strategic Trade Management Office. What else? It's one of them. DNR. DNR. The Philippine National Police. PIDEA, Mr. President. But I do not know about the drugs.
Sige po, Mr. President. So, maganda yung official statistics natin. Hopefully, it's accurate. No? Hindi po ba kailangan ng specialized equipment ito to detect those dangerous chemicals?
Kailangan po, Mr.
Precisely.
President.
And then, yung inspector natin, kung wala silang specialized equipment, kaya lusot kasi hindi nila na-detect si chemical.
That might be true, Mr. President. That's why
Okay,
we
sir.
really need
That's why.
special equipment to
Sige
determine.
So are we funding this? Is there a funding? Is there a budgetary implication for our bill? Are we funding anything? So that,
Well, I was requesting for a funding during the budget hearing for around 150 million. And I hope the members of the bicameral conference committee would approve of the 150 million that I am sponsoring, Mr. President.
well, as much as possible, sana
And if I may, Mr. President.
yes.
Anong bill nito? Ano ito? Well, Section 19 of this proposed bill provides appropriations to be charged against the appropriations of concerned agencies of the PNA CWC. We are not expecting additional expenditures on the main thrust of the measure, that is on the regulatory mechanism of toxic chemicals, as this is already being carried out by the Anti-Terrorism Council, albeit without the force of the law. They have established linkages with the stakeholders of the chemical industry, and they have been collecting information pursuant to our commitments to the convention. And nonetheless, our committee report believes that it is important to enhance our current capacities in addressing chemical threats and the entire CBRN spectrum. and we can share to the honorable senator in private, in light of the national security considerations, the budgetary requirements as presented to this representation, Mr. President.
Sige po, Mr. President. Of course, we are very supportive of this measure and we want this to be an effective mechanism that we're establishing. Hindi yung malinis yung ating data na zero incidents kasi hindi natin na-detect. Actually, Mr. President, naalala ko nung COVID time, may mga bansang zero ang COVID nila kasi daw hindi sila nagtitest. So pinapalakpakan sila ng the rest of the world kasi zero.
May I know what country you are referring
North
to?
Korea.
North Korea.
etc., yes.
Pinapapatay yata lahat yung mga tao ron?
Hindi naman po. Pero ang gusto ko sabihin, pwede kasing ganun yung official data mo. Tayo, maybe lack of equipment, we cannot detect. So, but we want an effective mechanism to be in place. Ayaw lang natin na, tandaan natin na chemical weapons po ito pinag-uusapan natin. Ano? Na let us say, that's why ang justification, Anti-Terrorism Council, because that can be used as a weapon of mass destruction or for mass hysteria or panic. Diba? Mass panic because may nangyayari dyan, you don't know what's happening because chemical siya. It cannot even be seen, Mr. President. Yan po yung nangyayari po rito. So we want this to be an effective law, Mr. President, hindi lang parang compliance with the treaty obligation that you must have a law. Talagang gawin natin safe ang Pilipinas prohibited chemical weapons and chemical substances which can be precursor material to chemical weapons. Yun po yata. Because sinabihan na rin ako kahapon ni ating sponsor na si chemical X may be safe, si chemical Y may be safe, but we combine chemical X and Y, it can be deadly.
Yes, Mr. President.
Ayan po, as explained to me by our sponsor. And I hope, sabi ko nga sa kanya, kung gano'n na situation, I hope both chemicals are listed in the convention, pero kung hindi, because they are safe, the combination of chemical XY must be listed in our law, kung sakali. Or are we allowing the council to add to the list?
Yes, Mr. President. We can. And the one you're referring to, yung chemical X and chemical Y, it's already included in the as precursor, Mr. President.
So dangerous na talaga rin. Dangerous na din sila. Opa.
I think that happened in
Yes, ano yung example nyo, Mr. President?
VX, yung chemical, sa North Korea. Sa North Korea, merong isang chemical X, chemical Y, pinahid sa pisngi yung chemical X, pinahid din sa kaliwang pisngi yung chemical Y, ayun, tigok,
Deadly.
namatay.
Okay, sige po.
Pero kung ang chemical X, ano ba?
By itself?
By itself, sa
Say-
kaliwa at sa kanan, hindi mamamatay. Kailangan,
So, ganun po. Okay,
dalawang
so-
chemical.
That's an example of the weaponization of chemicals.
Yun
Has
ang
to be
nangyari po.
combined, Your
Yes.
Honor.
It has to be combined. It has to be combined. And this happened in North Korea.
No,
I think the brother of the
but I think it happened in somewhere in Southeast Asia, not in North Korea. I will not mention the
and in
country.
Kuala Lumpur, Mr. President.
In an airport, Mr. President. Opo.
Yes.
Yes, opo. So, yan lang po yung ating objective dito to really make this an effective law. I am just worried dito sa phrase po natin sa page 5, line 26, yung the PNACWC shall have the authority to compel the assistance and support of all departments, etc. Yung phrase lang ng authority to compel, is that a usual phrase used in laws, Mr. President? Ano po ba nakita niyo?
Maybe, Mr. President, if you have some amendments, we will entertain your amendments at the proper
Yes,
time.
yes, yun na nga. Medyo, if we can ask our resource persons, parang...
Yes, Mr. President,
it's
we will
not-
do that.
It's not a phrase common in law, Mr. President. A minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session is suspended for a minute. Assume the
Yes, Mr. President,
Minority
just
leaders recognized.
maybe one more point. We noticed and would like to bring it to the attention of the sponsor as with this staff that Section 3C, which defines.
May I know what page, Mr. President? 3? Page 3.
Page 3, line 8, which defines the person. We just have a concern here when we go now to Section 7 on penalties. Anong page naman si Section 7? Found on
Page 6.
page 8, beginning on line 16. Yun lang po. We will punish, we notice that we are punishing or penalizing the individual for, and ano tawag mo doon, overlooking the liability of the juridical entity, which is also a person as defined in Section 3C. If
We
you can
take note-
just, if you can just request the sponsor to revisit
Yes,
the two
we take note of
provision.
that, Mr. President.
Parusahan din natin yung juridical entity na,
Yes.
na ma-involve.
We take note of that.
So with that, Mr. President, I think we have raised our concerns, but I'm sure the sponsor is open to refining some of our provisions here to really ensure that, number one, we are compliant with the treaty, and then number two, that it will be an effective law. And, Mr. President, kung talagang mapigilan natin yung mga prohibited CBRN, gawing model ng PIDEA para ma-prohibit ang
drugs.
pagpasok ng illegal drugs dito. So, that is the hope, Mr. President. Okay. Double purpose yung ating ginagawa. Thank you very much to our
Thank you very
sponsor.
much,
Thank you.
Minority Leader, for your very, very valuable inputs and questions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Thank you, Senate President Pro Tem Senator Estrada. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, next to interpolate is the gentleman from Bicol, Senator Robin Hood Padilla. I move that he be recognized.
The gentleman from Bicol and Central Luzon, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo, at sa ating pinunong mayorya. Gusto ko lamang pong ipabatid na isa pong karangalan ang matanong, ang anak ng masa, ang idolo po ng mga artista, Senador Jinggoy Estrada.
Nagkakamali po kayo ron. Kayo po ang idolo ng mga artista, hindi na po ako.
Alam niyo po, napakaganda po ng isinusulong na panukala ng ating mahal na senador na pro tempore, sapagkat nakikinig po ako kanina sa mga tanong ng ating ginagalang na pinunong minorya at nabanggit po yung tungkol sa kung meron na po bang nahuli dito sa Pilipinas. Ang katunayan po, mga mahal kong kababayan, noong 2003, natagpuan po sa isa sa mga hinihinalang kuta ng Jimaa Islamiyah sa Mindanao ang mga kopya ng manuals sa production po ng toxic weapons. Kaya ito po ay isang senyales na kinakailangan po natin talaga ang ganitong batas. Sapagkat ito po ay nabanggit din ng ating pinunong minorya na ito po ay kabilang sa 1925 Geneva Protocol At ito din po ay nasa Chemical Weapons Convention noong 1993. At nandun din po na dapat ang mga bansa na nakibahagi po doon, na nasa kasunduan po, magpapasa po ng batas patungkol dito. Ngayon lang po tayo siyempre mga katanungan para po maproteksyonan din ang karapatan ng ating mga kababayan sapagkat ito po ay tinuturing na malaking threat sa ating bansa. Sapagkat alam naman po natin na itong mga ganitong chemical weapons, ito pong dahilan din ng kung bakit inatake ng Amerika si Saddam Hussein. Dahil sa ganitong mga chemical weapons. Kaya importante po itong pag-usapan natin. Ang tanong ko pong una sa atin pong mahal na anak ng masa ay ang AFP po ba ang main proponent ng panukala na ito?
Kayo. Hindi po ang AFP, kundi po yung Anti-Terrorism Council, Ginoong Pangulo.
Ang Anti-Terrorism Council po ba, ito po ay nasa ilalim po ng anong ahensya?
Sa ilalim po ng tanggapan ng Pangulo.
Direkta po sa ating Pangulo ng Pilipinas. Opo. Kung natatandaan po natin, Ginoong Pangulo, meron pong nangyaring pag-atake sa Tokyo noong March 20, 1995 na gumamit po ng nerve gas na sarin.
Sarin gas.
Opo.
Sa subway po yun.
Opo, 12 po ang namatay dyan. At 5,500 po ang nasugatan. Ang katanungan ko po ay parang inuulit ko lang po ang tanong po ng ating pinunong minorya. Meron na po ba tayong kapasidad para tayo po ay makasabay sa mga progresibong bansa sa kanila pong paghahanap at pagtalakay sa itong problema ng chemical weapons? Meron na po tayong kakayahan pa?
Meron tayong kapasidad pero hindi ganun na kalawak ang kapasidad ni katulad ng bansang Hapon dahil alam niyo naman na tayo ay mas mahirap sa bansang Japan, no? Pero meron po tayong mga detectors, no? Meron tayong mga detectors that can prevent itong mga chemical weapons.
Ito po bang batas na ito pagka naisulong po ay magkakaroon po ng sapat na kapangyarihan ang Anti-Terrorism Council upang mas lalo pong paigtingin ang ating kampanya laban dito sa mga terorista?
Tama po kayo, Ginoong Pangulo.
Opo. Ito na lamang po. Kasi po dito, kanina binanggit din po ng ating pinunong minorya kung sino po yung mga mananagot. Gusto ko po sana pangalanan. Halimbawa, nagpasok po yung ating mga kapatid na customs official ng ganitong klasing chemical na pwede pong gawing armas. Ano po ang dapat natin dito? Ano pong dapat na
Kasama sila
parusa?
sa dapat managot, Ginoong Pangulo. Lahat sila na kung sino man ang magpapasok ng mga kontrabando, tinuturing natin kontrabando itong mga chemical weapons na ito. Dapat po sila ay managot, Ginoong Pangulo.
Opo, hindi po ba dapat mas mabigat ang parusa sa mga taong ito? Dahil dito po, nakasulat din po dito sa inyong panukala, ang absolute perpetual disqualification po sa kahit na sinong public officer o public official, nabibigyan po siya ng maximum penalty. Dito po sa mga nasa ahensya po ng gobyerno, meron po tayong panukala dati patungkol po sa smuggling, na meron po tayong matinding kaparusahan dito. Doble. Doble po. Doon po sa civilian na magkakaroon ng ganitong klaseng pagkakasala, pero dahil yung, halimbawa po, yung sa custom, siya ay nanumpa. Siya ay may sinumpaang tungkulin. Pero ginawa pa rin niya, di ba po? Doble yun. Dapat doble ang parusa sa taong yun.
Maraming salamat sa inyong katanungan, Ginoong Pangulo. Kung meron po kayong nais patawan ng mas mabigat na parusa, Ginoong Pangulo, pwede ho siguro ako mag-entertain pag oras na ng pag-amenda nitong kasulukuyang batas.
Yun, nako, maraming salamat po. Isa pong
If,
karangalan po.
if I may, Your Honors, with the indulgence of my two colleagues, I joined the gentleman from Bicol and Central Luzon for raising that particular issue because I think lahat tayo public office is a public trust and dapat talaga stiffer penalties for public officials. And I would just like to put into the records that I support and if there is going to be a particular amendment to this particular law that we are deliberating upon, I would be more than willing to support it. And if not, I would be volunteering to come up with a provision.
I
Thank you,
agree with
Your Honors.
with you, Mr. President, and I am open to accept amendments at the proper time, Mr. President.
Thank you, thank you.
Na ang ating pong puso ay nagpupunyagi at kasalukuyan pong lumalangoy sa kaligayahan sapagkat tayo po ay nagkakasundo na ito po ay isang imminent threat. At alam
And
po,
if I may add, Mr. President, if I may, Ginoong Pangulo, dito po sa nakasaad dito sa panukalang batas, ang pinakamabigat na pagpapataw ng parusa ay life imprisonment na po. Without the benefit of parole. Kung buhay pa yung death penalty, palagay ko death penalty to. Pero wala na ho tayong death penalty. Kaya life imprisonment na po ang parusa sa ilalim nitong ating committee report. Without, walang benefit ng parole.
opo, napakaganda po ng inyong sinabi, mahal na idolong senador, sapagkat meron po akong panukalang death penalty. Pero sa iba na natin po pag-uusapan yan. Sa akin pong huling katanungan, tinanong na rin po to ng ating pinunong minorya, isang malinaw lang po na paano po kaya ang distraction nito pagka nahuli. Medyo delikado din po ito, ha? Opo, paano po nila gagawin?
Ulit? Paano yun? Nais ko pong imbitahin ang atensyon ng ating kasamahan sa section 9,
Okay.
pahina 9, line 15 tungkol sa destruction. If I may read, the transportation, storage, and destruction of chemical weapons shall be conducted by the armed forces of the Philippines under stringent security measures. The procedure for the destruction and disposal of chemical weapons shall be established, and its conduct shall be witnessed by the PNA CWC to ensure safe and secure disposal in compliance with environmental and safety standards. Report of destruction and disposal shall be submitted to the PNA CWC.
Opo, napakalinaw po niyan. Maraming salamat po, ginoong aming senador na minamahal, Jingoy Estrada. Ang akin lang po kasing pinangangambahan, kung naalala niyo po, may nangyari po sa Lebanon na ganyan. Hindi naman yun chemical weapon, pero yun po ay naitago ng mga tao doon, ng mga, ano po yun yung ginagamit sa agrikultura. Fertilizer, na itago nila, hindi na nila kagad na i-dispose, hindi nila napagplanuhan kung anong gagawin, bigla na lang sumabog isang araw, ang dami pong na-disgrasya po doon. Yun lamang po, gusto ka lamang pong malinawan na sana malinaw doon sa ating batas kung gaano po kabilis ang distraction at kung saan at wala pong madadamay na iba. Yun lamang po.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong
Maraming salamat po.
Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Senator Padilla. Your Honor, if I may just raise one question to
Yes,
the distinguished sponsor. May we know how does the proposed measure relate to the Strategic Trade Management Act, or STMA, which was passed in 2015, that aims to prevent the spread of weapons of mass destruction by regulating the trade of goods, among others. What would be what would happen to that law, or are there any similarities?
Well, Mr. President, the STMA covers the export of strategic goods from the Philippines, import of strategic goods into the Philippines, and the transit or transshipment through the territory of the Philippines. and the DTI, which is the mother agency of the STMO, the executive and technical agency of the national government, which established management system for the trade of strategic goods, is supportive of this measure. And according to them, it complements Republic Act 10697, or the Strategic Trade Management Act, or the act that prevents the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction by managing the trade of strategic goods, Mr. President.
Your Honor, is there a, because does the country still submit national reports to the 1540 Committee on the actions taken by government to prevent the spread of mass destruction? I'm actually interested if indeed may achievements or ano yung kulang pa nitong STMA na mapupunan po nitong proposed measure na ito, Ginoong Pangulo.
The national authority for the 15.
Well, Mr. President, the DFA, or the Department of Foreign Affairs, is the national authority for 1540, Mr. President.
And they submit reports to ano?
Do they?
STMA submits reports.
Anyway, siguro, Ginoong Pangulo, just to not to belabor the issue, if we can have before we finalize the passage of this measure, yung report lang po na makita natin, if we can ask the committee to give us these updates that we are asking for, and the achievements nitong STMA and how it will actually augment and help itong STMA, itong proposed measure nito. That's all I
Yes, Mr.
thank
President,
you.
we will request from the proper authorities, Mr. President. And
Thank
we
you.
will provide this.
So
we'll
we can
provide you a copy.
so we can move forward and help out in the crafting of this very important piece of legislation. Thank you, SPP.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader,
Mr. President, there being no other member who wishes to interpret, I move to close the period of interpellation.
is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion of the Majority Leader is carried.
I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2871.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion to suspend the consideration of the said measure is hereby adopted.
A minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session is suspended for a minute. Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders, Committee Report Number 347 on House Bill Number 7406. This is the bill on the revised charter of the City of Baguio. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we consider House Bill Number 7406 under Committee Report Number 347. So
Any
moved.
objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Consideration of House Bill Number 7406 is now in order. The Secretary is directed to read the title of the bill without prejudice to inserting into the records the whole text thereof.
An act amending sections 23, 50, 52, and 50 of Republic Act Number 11689, otherwise known as the Revised Charter of the City of Baguio.
Mr. President, to sponsor the measure, I move to recognize the hardworking and supportive brother of the presiding officer, the chairperson of the Committee on Local Government, Senator J.V. Ejercito, to be recognized to sponsor the measure.
Okay, hearing no objection, Senator Ejercito is recognized.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, good afternoon. I rise today to sponsor House Bill Number 7406 under Committee Report Number 347, a vital piece of legislation that seeks to amend and revise the Charter of the City of Baguio. This bill, which has been carefully considered by the Committee on Local Government, aims to update and improve key sections of the Charter, ensuring its continued relevance and effectiveness in serving the citizens of the city. The revised Charter of the City of Baguio was passed during the 18th Congress. According to Representative Mark Go, the author of House Bill Number 7406, the current revised charter needs to be further amended to reflect the true intention of the law. For example, under the revised charter, the Secretary of the Sangguniang Lungsod is duty-bound to submit for review copies of approved ordinances and resolutions. This responsibility imposed under the Local Government Code of 1991 refers to the duty of the Secretary to the Sangguniang Lungsod or Sangguniang Bayan of component cities or municipalities. Baguio City is currently classified as a highly urbanized city and independent from the province of Benguet. The PL also strengthens the Special Committee on Lands, which plays a pivotal role in resolving land disputes, ensuring fair and equitable land allocation, and protecting the rights of both long-time residents and newcomers. It will broaden the committee's membership to include representatives from key government agencies such as the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. On the other hand, this bill limits the participation of John Hay Management Corporation as member of the Special Committee on Lands, only insofar as lands within the Camp John Hay Reservation is concerned. Through our consultation with the Baguio City Council and other stakeholders, the committee recommends in its report some amendments which will further clarify the intention of the law. By passing this legislation, we can reaffirm our commitment to the City of Baguio and its people. Let us work together to ensure that this beloved city in the north continues to thrive as a vibrant center of culture, commerce, and natural beauty for generations to come. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this measure. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator
Mr.
Ejercito.
President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill Number 7406 to allow our colleagues to study further the measure. So move, Mr.
Is
President.
there any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, this juncture I move that we transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders. Committee Report Number 168 on House Bill Number 5851. Committee Report Number 348 on House Bill Number 7007. Committee Report Number 350 on House Bill Number 5828. Committee Report Number 351 on House Bill Number 5831. Committee Report Number 352 on House Bill Number 5832. Committee Report Number 353 on House Bill Number 5837. Committee Report Number 354 on House Bill Number 5836. Committee Report Number 355 on House Bill Number 5833. Committee Report Number 356 on House Bill Number 5556. Committee Report Number 357 on House Bill Number 5850. Committee Report Number 358 on House Bill Number 5841. Committee Report Number 359 on House Bill Number 39771. Committee Report Number 360 on House Bill Number 5846. Committee Report Number 361 on House Bill Number 5852. Committee Report Number 363 on House Bill Number 7004. Committee Report Number 365 on House Bill Number 6158. And Committee Report Number 366 on House Bill number 5845. These are bills, Mr. President, declaring working holidays. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we consider the aforementioned House bills. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. The Secretary is directed to read only the title of the bills without prejudice of inserting into the record the whole text thereof.
House Bill number 5851, Valenzuela Foundation Anniversary, 7007, Fiesta Alegría de Isabela, 5828, Francisco Santiago Day, 5831, Hermano Puli Death Anniversary, Quezon Province, 5832, Feast Day of the Holy Cross, Santa Cruz Occidental, Mindoro, 5837, City of Living God, Puerto Princesa, 5836, Parada ng Lechon Celebration, Balayan, Batangas, 5833, Huseng Batute Day, Santa Maria, Bulacan, 556, Kawit Foundation Day, Kawit, Cavite, 5850, Tandang Sora Day, Quezon City, 5841, Mendez Nunez Foundation Anniversary, Cavite, 9771, Araw ng Isabela de Basilan, Araw ng Sakayan, Isabela, Basilan, 5846, Araw ng Bayan ng San Mateo, Rizal Province, 5852, Araw ng Santa Cruz Foundation Anniversary, Occidental Mindoro, 7004, Abaca Festival, Catanduanes, 6158, Sarangani Day, Sarangani Province, 5845, San Carlos Foundation Anniversary, Negros Occidental.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we recognize the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Local Government, Senator J.V. Ejercito, to deliver an omnibus sponsorship speech. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, motion is approved. Senator Ejercito is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, my dear colleagues. As chairperson of the Senate Committee on Local Government, it is my distinct privilege to rise today to deliver an omnibus sponsorship speech on Committee Report number 168 and Committee Report numbers 348 up to 366. I am pleased to present these proposed 21 new non-working holidays for your consideration. These holidays celebrate the diverse traditions and historical events that make up the rich tapestry of Philippine culture. In the interest of time, I will not mention the title of the bills. However, it is worth mentioning that these local holidays will be celebrated by our constituents in various local governments, namely Valenzuela City for its foundation anniversary, Isabela Basilan for its Fiesta Alegría de Isabela, Province of Basilan for its foundation anniversary, Santa Maria, Bulacan in honor of the life and music of Filipino musician and composer Francisco Santiago, Province of Quezon in commemoration of the death anniversary of revolutionary hero Hermano Puli, Santa Cruz Occidental, Mindoro in celebration of the feast day of Holy Cross, Puerto Princesa City in commemoration of its declaration as the City of the Living God, Balayan, Batangas in celebration of the Parada ng Lechon, Santa Maria, Bulacan in honor of the life and literary work of Filipino poet and writer Jose Corazon de Jesus, Kawit, Cavite for its foundation anniversary, Quezon City in commemoration of the birth anniversary of Melchora Aquino, Mendez Nunez, Cavite for its foundation anniversary, Isabela City, Basilan in commemoration of its charter anniversary, San Mateo, Rizal in commemoration of its founding anniversary, Santa Cruz Occidental, Mindoro for its foundation anniversary, Calapan City, Oriental, Mindoro for its foundation anniversary, Province of Catanduanes in celebration of the Abaca Festival, Province of Sarangani for its foundation anniversary in the contribution of the indigenous peoples of Sarangani, and San Carlos City, Negros Occidental in commemoration of its founding anniversary. Mr. President, the Committee on Local Government continues to strive to take a balanced approach in the evaluation of local holiday bills. We consider the historical or cultural significance of the proposed holiday, ensuring it meets national standards following the criteria set by the Senate. Furthermore, we also strive to maintain a reasonable number of non-working holidays in each province and prioritize those with the history of observance through executive issuances. My dear colleagues, holidays are far more than a pause in our schedules. To quote our local author, holidays are moments of collective celebration and connection. They are vital threads that weave together our past, present, and future, connecting us to our heritage and shaping our shared identity. In closing, Mr. President, I believe these measures will greatly benefit our local communities and I urge my colleagues to grant them swift passage. Maraming salamat po.
Mr. President, to allow our colleagues to study further the measures sponsored today, I move that we suspend consideration of the aforementioned House bill. So move, Mr. President. Oh, Mr. President, before I do that, may we recognize the distinguished gentleman from Bicol, Senator Robin Hood Padilla, to
Yes,
co-sponsor the measure.
Before we act on the motion of the Majority Leader, Senator Padilla is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo, at sa ating pinunong mayorya. Opo, totoo po, ako po'y sumusuporta sa lahat. Meron lamang pong, gusto lamang pong itanong, mahal na Ginoong Pangulo. Isang tanong lang po. Opo, meron lang po ako isang tanong. Linanawin lang po doon sa parada ng lechon. Siguro naman obvious reasons naman po, doon sa parada ng lechon. Baboy lang ba yun? Baka naman may baka o may kambing. Puro baboy lang ba yun? Doon sa balayan po.
Ang pagkakalam ko, yung baboy lang at binibihisan sila ng iba't ibang costume. No? At dahil kasi parang kilala sila doon sa ganong kapistahan. So binibihisan po ng iba't ibang tema yung mga lechon baboy.
Opo, doon po siguro, Ginoong Pangulo, humihingi po ako ng paumanhin sa ating mga kababayan sa balayan at sa ating pong sponsor. Pagdating po doon, medyo ako po ay, naintindihan nyo na po. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat, Senator Padilla.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. That's quite interesting and really worth listening, Mr. President. May I also just be allowed, Mr. President, to insert into the records some of the bills that I wanted to co-sponsor, specifically the one in Santa Maria, Bulacan. Let it be noted, Mr. President. on the
Noted,
record.
the sponsorship
Thank
speech
you.
of Senator Villanueva is hereby inserted into the record.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, Mr. President, again, I move for the previous question that we suspend consideration of the aforementioned House bill. So move, Mr.
Any
President.
objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we transfer from the calendar for ordinary business to the calendar for special orders. Committee Report Number 349 on House Bill Number 7008, Committee Report Number 362 on House Bill Number 5827, and Committee Report Number 364 on House Bill Number 5847. These are bills declaring non-working holidays. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we consider the aforementioned House bills. I so move, Mr. President.
There an objection? There being none, the motion is approved. The Secretary is directed to read only the title of the bills without prejudice to inserting into the record the whole text thereof.
House Bill Number 7008, Araw ng Basilan, and in recognition of Tenun Pakaranjaan as the official festival of the province of Basilan. House Bill Number 5827, Calapan Charter Anniversary, Oriental Mindoro. House Bill Number 5847, Sarangani Foundation Anniversary.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we recognize the super energized, and I don't know why, and the hardworking gentleman from San Juan, the chairperson of Committee on Local Government, Senator J.V. Ejercito, to deliver an omnibus sponsorship speech. I so move, Mr.
An
President.
objection? There being none, motion is approved. Senator Ejercito is hereby recognized to deliver his sponsorship speech.
Mr. President, I ask for a minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Mr. President, at this juncture and with the consent of the body, especially the members of the minority, we would like to state for the record some corrections, Mr. President. During the previous sponsorship speech of the gentleman from San Juan, mentioning the 17 aforementioned bills, they are all non-working, Mr. President, non-working holidays. And that includes, Mr. President, the three aforementioned bills, HB 7008, HB 5827, and HB 5847. And so with that, Mr. President, it means that the sponsorship of the gentleman from San Juan, Senator J.V. Ejercito, included the three aforementioned measures. So all in all, there are 20 local bills declaring non-working holidays, Mr. President.
All right, so we have to rectify your previous motion to working holidays to non-working
To
holidays.
non-working holidays. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, to allow our colleagues to further study these non-working holidays, I move that we suspend consideration of the 20 aforementioned bills. I so move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
May I ask for a minute suspension, Mr.
So
President?
suspended.
Mr. President, I move that we proceed to the reference of business, with the reference of business.
Secretary, please read the reference to business.
Resolutions. Resolution number 1240, resolution congratulating and commending the University of the Philippines Diliman Cesar E.A. Virata School of Business team for winning at the Wing Lung Bank International Institute for Business Development International Case Competition 2024 held on November 7, 2024 in Zwolle, the Netherlands by Senator Villar Cynthia.
Committee on Rules.
Resolution number 1241, commending and congratulating the Doho Garage Deftak Green Hills team for winning medals in the 2024 Sports Jiu-Jitsu International Federation World Championship held in Nagoya, Japan by Senator Go.
Committee on Rules. Majority Leader. Mukhang tayong dalawa na lang yata rito. Magkapatid pa.
One on one, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask for a minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Session is adjourned.
Mr. President, pursuant to Section 18 of the Rules of the Senate and upon the instruction of the Chairperson of the Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation, I manifest the creation of a subcommittee to deliberate on Senate Resolution Number 1228 on the indiscriminate issuance of barangay certifications, and such other bills which may be referred to the Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation, covering the same topic with Senator Nancy Binay as chairperson. I so manifest, Mr. President.
The manifestation is hereby noted.
Mr. President, I move to transfer the committee referral of Senate Bill Number 482, Sinoropan National High School in Licomo, Zamboanga City, from the Committee on Rules to the Committee on Basic Education and Finance. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? Siyempre, wala mag-object. Tayong dalawa na lang dito. There being, objection po kayo? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move to transfer the committee referral of Senate Bill Number 2875, the Charter of the Cotahuato Province, from the Committee on Rules to the Committee on Local Governments. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn the session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday, December 3, 2024.
Any objection? There being none, session is adjourned until 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Tuesday. Wala ba tayo Tuesday? Huh? Tuesday, December 3, 2024.